I finally saw this movie, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So the film Jackie is a 2016 biodrama that follows Jacqueline Kennedy after her husband's assassination. It mostly covers a bit of how the political and historical landscape was, as well as the funeral arrangements, but it's all done through the eyes of the president's widow. Natalie Portman portrays Jackie Kennedy, and she's fantastic, giving a very hardened and realistic performance of somebody who just lost somebody that they love. And I honestly don't know how I feel about this one compared to her performance in Black Swan, though for right now I still think that her performance in Black Swan is her magnum opus. And she completely disappears in the role. Hell, growing up I've seen footage of JFK and his wife, and I've heard her talk a bit. Natalie Portman actually sounded almost, if not exactly, like Jacqueline Kennedy, and even the accent was just spot on. The supporting cast is very good too, though the standouts are Peter Sarsgaard as JFK's brother Bobby Kennedy, and John Hurt, who plays a priest who kind of helps Jackie through her time right after her husband is killed. And actually, I do have to talk about this because I've never experienced this with a movie before, but while I was watching Peter Sarsgaard, I was looking at him, and though he was unrecognizable, I would look at him, and at certain angles, he would either look like Kiefer Sutherland or somehow Colin Firth. And I know that this is probably a stupid thing to bring up, but it just amused me. I've never had that happen to me before. The story itself is told in a bit of a non-linear narrative. Certain parts focus on the aftermath and the funeral arrangements, and actually that took up the bulk of the movie. Other parts focused on Jackie after everything happened, while she's being interviewed about everything. And then there's the rest of it is a bit of where Jackie is talking to John Hurt's character about everything that she's feeling. And then, of course, there are little tiny nuggets every once in a while where it portrays everything in black and white. It's as though it's on TV, and it's just Natalie Portman acting out when Jackie Kennedy first opened up the White House for TV crews to see. For me personally, I preferred the scenes where Jackie Kennedy was talking to the priest, because at that point we got more insight into more of Jackie's psyche and what she was really thinking, because we don't get much of it other than in those scenes, because she's very subdued throughout the entire film. She does her best to not show how she's actually feeling. This is probably the best story portraying the aftermath of the Kennedy assassination, and it's all done really well. I do have one complaint about Jackie, the film itself, and it ties into the cinematography. It's shot in a very simple way, which is actually not a bad thing, but everything is so perfectly centered with nothing ever happening in the backgrounds or just to the left and the right of the screen. And actually, it kind of reminds me of Tom Hooper's version of Les Miserables, where where all the shots were just oddly zoomed in and just close-up shots of the actors' faces. But this time it is actually centered, and it's not all just centered on people's faces. We do get a few of those, which did kind of annoy me, but it wasn't as jarring as something like, let's say, a Tom Hooper film. But like I said, it's just boring cinematography, and because there's not much interesting to look at, it did actually make the film drag a bit for me, and therefore it also hurt the pacing of the film as well. In the end, people will probably want to see Jackie for the performances, especially Natalie Portman's, as well as just a very interesting story. I mean, before going into it, I love history, but even I didn't know the whole how the entire aftermath of the Kennedy assassination was. I'm going to give Jackie a 3.5 out of 5 reels. As always, thank you for watching and just listening to me ramble. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on that subscribe button, and if you want to help support the channel and just help me make better content, please check out my Patreon page, which I will have the link in the description below, and just become a patron. All it takes is about $1 a month, or if you want, you can do a little bit more. It doesn't matter. I mainly want to focus on getting better editing software and maybe even getting a few props if I can, just to make things a little bit easier. And of course, you know, movie tickets are so expensive these days, and I'm still waiting for my movie pass card. I think they told me it wasn't going to come until like October. So, yeah, I just mainly want to focus on better editing software so I can make this a little bit more fun for you guys. But listen, if you can't spare any more money, that's completely fine. You're helping me out by just watching my videos, and for that, I thank all of you. Well, time for me to move on to the next review. Farewell until the next video. Bye.